Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well out there, and thank you for joining us for today's Pikto webinar. My name is Wilson, and I'm a project specialist with Piktochart, and I'll be your host for today's webinar on how to create a successful investment pitch deck. This is brought to you by Piktochart in partnership with HighSpark. Well, I'm sure you're joining today's Pikto webinar because you could be an entrepreneur or a founder of your organization, and you're looking for ways to create an investment pitch deck for potential investors. You could also be in the marketing team and you're in charge of creating pitch decks for your organization. Regardless of your roles, I trust that your goal here is to essentially learn how to create a successful investment pitch deck that will be able to convince your investors and stakeholders. So if that is you, then you are in the right place. Well, I'd like to start off by introducing our speakers for today. Firstly, we have Xin, who's the co-founder and story strategist at HighSpark. HighSpark is a communications training and consulting agency, and her team helps startups and category leaders win in their high-stakes pitches. To date, their startup clients have successfully raised over 80 million in funding. And today, Xin will be sharing the tips to create a persuasive investor pitch deck. Hello and welcome to our Pikto webinar, Xin. And next, we have Natasya, who's a design manager at Piktochart. She leads the communication design team in Piktochart, and they are behind all the assets that you see in Piktochart's editor, from templates to icons and illustrations. Natasya has a total of 8 years of experience in the visual communication field, and today she will be doing a walkthrough of a beautiful pitch deck template designed by Piktochart and HighSpark. And this has been inspired by the key components of an effective pitch deck. Hello and welcome to our Pikto webinar, Natasya.
Hi, thanks, Wilson.
Well, I'm sure to have the both of you at our Pikto webinar today, and I trust our audience will gain new insights and learnings from both of your experiences to create a successful investment pitch deck. And before we start, I'd like to share a quick outline of what you as our audience can also expect to gain from today's session. Without any further delay, I'd like to hand over the time to Xin for the first part of today's webinar, and she will be walking us through some tips on creating a successful investment pitch deck. Do also stay to the end because Xin has some exciting giveaways for you. Over to you, Xin.
Thanks, Wilson, for the introduction. In this particular segment, I would share with you the different tips in order to create a really successful pitch deck. Now, a lot of people, especially clients, have asked us, do you have a template? There are actually tons of templates out there in terms of how do you create a pitch deck. And pretty much it's the same flow. I would start off first with talking about what are some of the key components. So the key elements in order to hook investors, which might not be unfamiliar to you, usually start off with a purpose, then a problem, then you have the solution, the product demo, traction, etc., right? Pretty much you see this a lot in blog posts, articles, and any other templates. What is different about the template we have created with Piktochart here, it's to not just templatize this in a very shoebox manner, but also think about what is it that the investors are looking for. So not only I'll be covering the key components about what to include in a pitch deck, later on, we'll also be covering how do you start your presentation, what is the flow, and how can you truly differentiate yourself? Because I think everyone is vying for the same pool of funds, and it's very, very competitive. Hence, in order to give you a competitive edge, this is not just going to be a visually beautiful template, but we're also going to see how we can shape it and package the messaging in order for you to clarify your value proposition. If you take a look at this slide, there are those boxes highlighted in orange, right? These are the key components that are commonly missing in a pitch deck. A lot of times, my observation is that founders, they get too caught up with the passion project and they talk about the problem in the market, their ideas, and they can go on and on about how great their ideas are. But if you only have 5 minutes, say in a demo day, or if you're sending this deck across via email, the first few slides are very critical in order to hook investors. And also because investors have very, very limited attention span. You can't go on and on about the problem and solution because there are many competitors out there that are also solving the same problem, solving the same solution. So if we take a look at this particular interactive chart, you can see that pages that investors spend the most time on are actually not so much about the product itself, but about how much money or how profitable the business can be, the team in terms of the competitive edge, why now, the purpose. And pretty much my observation is that the emphasis on the key components of a deck, it's lopsided or it's kind of flipped. Too many times, founders, they start off presentation with the problem and solution and just like, oh, towards the end, we kind of rush through, right? Why don't we flip things around by prioritizing what the investors care about? It's always about the numbers and figures. And there is a common mistake that founders make because they're very invested in their own ideas, right? Sometimes when they can pitch as though they are speaking to customers. But we have to always remember that investors are not customers. They might not be the users of your product. So talk more about profitability. That means that would people actually pay for your product? Is the problem really worth solving? And in the long run, also, is your business scalable? Because if you have a profit margin that is really small, and it's not scalable in the long run, the return on investment is going to be, not as competitive as maybe other startups. And then also in terms of sustainability, does your business model, can it stand against the saturated market or stand against certain cyclical changes, especially in COVID situation, right? I think a lot of businesses are being disrupted. So if you're able to prove these three different pillars, profitability, scalability, and sustainability, it makes your business, not just your business idea, but your business itself very, very attractive to investors. So sell the business model more than the business ideas itself, because business ideas can change. Companies, they pivot and they might target different market, different audiences, or even change their strategy altogether. But are you able to be agile and to adapt to all these circumstances? So try to think in the perspective of investors rather than customers. So that's the first point. And then, of course, out of all of these slides that Natasya has created and designed, very beautiful slides, we want to spend less time on the top part, the problem and solution, usually about 3 to 4 slides enough, unless the problem is something that is very complex that nobody else is tackling and it's worth to tackle. But if it's a problem that investors already know and they've heard thousands of times, you want to spend more time on the slides highlighted here about numbers, about traction, about your expansion, and why are you even raising funds in the first place, right? Sometimes I ask founders, why are you raising $2 million? Like, I don't know, just 2 million. It's very arbitrary. So you have to be very strategic with why you're doing certain things in the first place. And certain things like this, right? Traction. If you can say, hey, our business has been around for a couple of years and we have gotten really, really good traction, satisfied customer, and moving forward, maybe you have certain expansion plan and that's why you're raising fund, then put that in the narrative, put that in the pitch. And also, what is the expected outcome that you're targeting, right? And then also, what are your tangible expansion strategy? It's not just about, oh, we're going to go to market or we're going to spend more in marketing, but you have to be very tangible with the tactics. So there's the strategic part and there's the tactical part. So these are just placeholders in terms of product expansion. It can be really anything, including partnership. It's also an expansion strategy, right? If you have very specific names of partners who have already even signed like a MOU, memorandum of understanding, right? To kind of somehow indicate that, hey, they are willing to partner you to go the long run. And this can also be a clue or a hint and a proof, in fact, that your business is very viable and people are already queuing to buy your product or use your services or take advantage of whatever you have, right? So that's kind of like your secret sauce. And in terms of the narrative as well, it's not just about, shoeboxing ourselves or having very modular slides to talk about finances. Sometimes you can combine things together. For example, if you are raising funds and product expansion or market expansion is one of your reasons to raise funds, you want to talk about your forecast, say in the next 2 years with this additional product or feature, what is the upside? Is your business going to be scalable, or is your bottom line or revenue stream going to be scalable, whereby you only need to do the platform once, have the fundamentals, and everything else becomes kind of multiplied, right? Or if you're talking about market expansion, again, what are some of the positive implications to the bottom line? You can also show that. And this is also a very famous slide that more and more founders have been using and investors are also looking at is in terms of scalability, the flywheel model. How do you connect different aspects of your business? If you're talking about having good customer service, what does that amount to? And that effect of the customer service, can it then scale or create this snowball effect to something bigger, right? And overall, it's kind of like if I were to put $1 or 1 hour in the business, there is a multiplier thing that we are seeing. And it's not so much strenuous in terms of your bottom line, as well as in terms of burn rate, in terms of resources. It would be very, very promising. So this is also something that investors will be looking at. And then in terms of how we structure in order to differentiate. I'm pretty sure Wilson and Natasya, you have seen probably decks that always start off with problem, right? I think people are more educated about storytelling, and people also start off with saying the problem, narrating, then the solution, which is a good thing. But the downside is that if everybody were to start off that way, can you imagine investors going through thousands of pitch decks? How would it make you stand out? It's like, another problem again. Especially if your competitors are tackling the same exact problem, then it really doesn't help you stand out from the crowd. So if they have similar solutions, you really have to address this point. Why you? Why your business? Can you tackle the problem more effective than your competitors, right? Can you bring more returns to the investors than your competitors? So those are the questions that we need to answer. And how I would advise founders to start off their presentation, if they really want to start off with problem, do not just start off with any generic problem that anyone can solve or are already trying to solve. You want to say there are problems in the market from a very generic sense. And then you want to present, this is the most important part, you want to present the limitations with the existing solutions. So you're saying the customer that you're targeting struggle with a generic problem, right? And there are existing solutions out there. Many of them have limitations, and you state the limitations, and ideally the limitations are really real problems. So you're talking about a problem not in the market, but the problem with your competitor. And then this is where you say, we are here to fill the gap. It gives you a purpose and a reason to exist, and it also differentiates you. That is, if you want to start your presentation with a problem statement. This is an example of what you can see in the Piktochart template. For example, if you want to personify the character, right, your target audience, you can introduce a name, say Tom, like billions. If you can even quantify, not just like billions, a sweeping statement, but really quantify like what is the market size. You can weave the market size in this problem statement as well. So Tom, like billions of other professionals, are struggling with a particular thing or to find a perfect solution, right? And state what exactly is he looking out for and why does it matter? Then you talk about the gaps in the existing solutions out there. Say, hey, there are upsides to these products or these services or solutions, but there are also downsides. And this is where you also talk about the severity and the size of the problem. Why is this a problem worth solving? And when you say, why is a problem worth solving? It's not just about the consumer pain, but it's also from a monetary standpoint. Is there a sizable market, a servable market, and an available market, right? Then you introduce your solution and say how exactly you're going to fill the gap. Usually we have like a transition slide to give a big picture perspective of what your business is about before you then dive into how it works. But again, don't spend too much time on slides with problem and solution. Then the very last part is, now that we know that we can differentiate our problem statement, if you want to start off with problem solution kind of style, that is the way to go, right? But there are also other ways to start your presentation to differentiate yourself. And it kind of includes this element of surprise. Rather than doing what we have mentioned earlier on, sometimes you can also break free from the traditional structure. Perhaps start off with traction. Example, potential hooks, right? What would really keep the investors at the edge of their seats? Strong traction within a short period of time. Let's say if you're just starting out, and if it is factual that within just a couple of months, you have already gotten a lot of interest with very little marketing spend or even zero at all. You can use that as a narrative to say, hey, just within 3 months, we have gotten this amount of active users or paid users, even better. That's from the product standpoint. Or how many of your customers, if you're talking about those bigger clienteles, how many of them actually sign an MOU to indicate their interest to work with you? And what is the size of the project? Is it by tens of thousands? Is it by $1 million? What is the upside? And when you say within a short period of time, you've already gotten all this promising interest from your users, potential paying customers, like imagine how much more can you achieve with funding? So if your intention is to scale or accelerate your business and you need the monetary support, this becomes a very, very interesting hook. Okay. So say we already gotten a lot, please help us, or we don't have enough capacity because of the lack of funding and we want to go further to create more impact. Then the other one also is potentially your team has a very crazy track record. By crazy, I mean you have all the relevant experiences, you have all the track records in terms like maybe some of your founders have sold businesses for millions of dollars or have been in the same line of industry. You have successfully built a business, exited a business, and now this is maybe your second or third. And if you can use that as a hook, also for investors who are investing in people, they would be very, very interested. Because some investors, they would think that it doesn't matter how great your business ideas are. But if your team isn't agile or adaptable enough to the situation and you can't really pivot when the time requires you to, then your business would be obsolete sooner or later, right? So they invest in people and also the whole business acumen. And sometimes even investors might be looking out for other companies that can fit into their entire portfolio. Let's say they invest in a particular industry and the industry, is a long line of value chain, right? Maybe they already have the front part of the value chain settled. And then you can also use this as a hook to say, hey, we know, very targeted message, we know that you're interested in XYZ. And this is something that is missing. Our business would be able to help you fill the gap to kind of make your portfolio more holistic. Or then you can also talk about how you can add value to the investors from a business perspective. And that is something that's very tangible rather than just going all around about generic problems that kind of seem like a sweeping statement, right? So these are potential hooks that you can use. The truth is there is no one right way to start off your presentation because every founders or every startup, every business have their own strengths. So my recommendation would always be start with your strongest point. And then you can go on to talk about the problems and solutions, just touch and go, and then talk about business model stuff or the monetary stuff. And of course, there are different types of investors. You really have to get in the heads of theirs to say, what is the top priority? What is their top priority? What is going to motivate them the most? And sometimes it can be contextual, right? Say the current economical climate, does it change their buying decision or investment decision? And their values, what do they care about? What do they believe? And if they were to invest in your business, how are they going to play an active role in your organization, in your company? And also you have to ask yourself, what do you care about? Are you just vying for the money, the funds, or are you looking for someone who you can tap on their network to then grow your business, or someone to partner, someone to mentor? So when you're clear about who you're targeting and what they care about, and you're clear about what you care about, then this is where you can find like some form of common ground. Because many times we might be packaging our message. We try to create a very inspiring pitch and we try to target this pitch to every single buddy. And that's where we start receiving a lot of different feedback and comments from investors of different profiles, right? Like, who do you listen to? That's where clarity is very important. Who are you targeting? Why does it matter to them? And are these people you're targeting actually who you want to target? And how is it going to help your business? Typically, presentations might just end off with like maybe a financial forecast and thank you. But we have to create a sense of urgency. This why now slide is one classic example. Rather than saying, hey, my ideas are really good, think about it. You want to create this sense of urgency whereby if the audience doesn't do something about your pitch, or if they were to just sit on it, just like, yeah, great idea, let me come back to you again, and then they disappear, right? Rather than doing that, you want to tell them why there is a window period, or rather now is the perfect opportunity to enter the market. If you were to wait any longer, the opportunity is going to go away. It's going to, fly past, provided that it's factual. Okay. So you want to kind of take a look at different aspects of your pitch to see how you can connect on an emotional level and really tap into what investors truly care about and prioritize. So those are few different aspects of your presentation. Ensure the key components are in, but don't stick too religiously to the flow. You can rejig the structure depending on your strengths. And then ultimately, it's to reflect what your audience care about. And then also understanding what matters to you the most, and start off and end your presentation with a bang. That's all I have in terms of how to put together a great pitch with a really beautifully designed deck by Natasya. And I'll hand over to Nat to see how you can leverage Piktochart's cool features and functions to visualize your deck to clarify your message.
So thank you, Xin, for sharing so many valuable insights and tips with us. I really appreciated how you emphasized that we are to pitch to investors and not to customers. I think that's a really good take-home point for all of us. And now that we've covered the nitty-gritty of how do you create a successful investment pitch deck, it's time to put it into practice. And now we're going to look into visualizing a pitch deck. So I'd like to pass the time over to Natasya, who will be going through the second part of our webinar. So over to you, Natasya.
Thanks, Wilson, and thank you, Xin, for presenting. And I am so honored for being here and to be part of this collaboration. Now, how can we apply what we have learned so far from Xin, and how we can create a winning pitch deck with Piktochart? So as Xin mentioned, we actually collaborated. We are the lucky ones to collaborate with HighSpark and come up with a template that is free to use for all Piktochart users. So today I'm here to show you guys how easy it is to actually first insert your content into the template. And then secondly, how you can apply your branding to make it your own. And last but not least, you can also customize the template and pitch your story. So now you're seeing my dashboard, and this is the typical dashboard you will see once you are logged in into Piktochart account. I know it might be overwhelming, but I want you to focus on this part right here, where you can see all the formats that Piktochart offers. So because today we are creating a pitch deck, you can go directly to presentations. And here you can see all the various templates that we have. You can click preview to preview the slides. Or if you know where you want to go, you can go directly to that specific template and then click use template. All right. So once you click the use template button, you will be redirected into this editor. And as you can see here, this gives you the overview of the slides that we are going to work on. So first thing first, you want to start uploading and inserting your content into this template. Why don't we start with the most important part of the company, which is the logo? And you want to replace the placeholder logos right here with your own logos. So you can drag and drop your logo directly into this box, or you can press the browse image. So I prepared a sample logo right here. So you can click both of them or multiple files directly, and then simply click open, and you can see it's uploading. All right, so the new logo is uploaded right here. What you can do to bring it to the blog is you can click it, or you can, of course, drag and drop. And then I want to resize this logo to replace this. So you see I'm resizing right here. And what I'm doing now is I'm actually pressing Shift button on my keyboard to resize in ratio. When I don't press the Shift button, what it's going to do is it's going to resize in all directions. And we don't want to do that because it's going to distort your logo. Once I press Shift button, you see that it's back in ratio. And simply delete the placeholder logo, and you can adjust your logo placement. And done. So that was the first task, very easy. And then now that the logos is there, what about text? What if we want to change the text? So let's go to the problem statement slides right here. So assuming you have your content documented somewhere, and then you want to copy and paste the content in sections, what you can do is, of course, you will copy the content first, and then you select the elements where you are going to paste the text on. So for example, I want to replace this one. I will select, and then to edit this text box, I can double click it. So once I go into the editing mode, I can simply paste the content. So all your contents is transferred into the template. And as you can see here, I have only 2 points, while this template actually provided 3 pointers. Of course, you can remove the unnecessary icon here. And what I'm going to do is I want to change the icon to match my content. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to browse the available icons right here. So in Piktochart, you can choose icons from various categories. They are all free to use. I mean, if you already have something in mind, you can directly search your icon right here. So for example, because we're going to talk about video star, so I want to search for star icon. And as you can see, we have a few selected icons. And to bring it to the block, you can simply click it or drag and drop it. And you want to resize the icons, you can press Shift and resize it to resize in ratio. And you want to delete the placeholder and place your icons instead. Now you want to change the icon into the similar color so that it's consistent with the rest of the visual. So what you want to do is you can go to the color setting right here. You can see here there's this original color set is where you can choose the colors that are being used for this template. So in this case, I want to change it to orange and simply click orange, and then it will change to orange color. And that is for the icons. For the photos, what if we find Tom isn't really the best representative of our target audience here? So I want to search for other photos or portrait photos. So I can also go to the photo tabs right here. And you can choose from millions of photos, courtesy of Unsplash. And because I'm looking for portraits, so I type for portrait, and then it will show all the different photos that you can use. I can drag and drop it. So as you can see, it directly catch the photos. Again, if you want to change to other photos, simply hover over it, and then the photo frame will catch your photos. But what if I want to change the position of these photos? Of course, I can do that by double clicking this photo frame, and then you can change the placement of the photos. You can also resize the photos to best fit your photo frame here. And once I'm done, I can click done. Next, moving on to charts. So let's go to the traction slides here. So let's say you want to change this chart to match our content. You can click this pencil button, or you can again double click this chart, and then it will bring you to this page where you can change the number. It works similar to Excel spreadsheet or Google Sheet. So you can include your number manually. And as you can see, it will reflect it directly to your chart. Or you can also upload your CSV file from Google Sheets or Excel spreadsheet. And on the bar right here, you can see the various charts that you can use depending on your information. We have bar chart, we have line chart, scatter plot, we have pie chart, donut charts, hierarchy, and my favorite part is actually icon metrics. So let me show you something here. If you click on the settings, you can actually change the appearance of the chart. First, you can change the color to match your pitch deck. And if you want to change the icons, for example, if I'm talking about video star and I want to change the pyramid icon into video icons or icons that is related to video, click this, choose from icon library. And I can choose from the icons library that I showed you earlier. So it's the same icon library. So you can search for video, for example. And once you click it, the chart will change directly into the icons that you have chosen. This feature is really useful because you can enhance your storytelling or data visualization by choosing the suitable icons based on your content. Press the apply changes and it will be applied directly. And we are done with the first part. Moving on to the second part, which is to apply your branding colors and make it your own. So I will show you how you can easily do it in Piktochart. Go to this corner right here, where you can find brand assets. So once you click on this, you will be redirected into this page where you can upload your fonts as well as your colors. So I'm going to show you how easy it is. First, if you have the hex code of your branding colors, of course, you can copy and paste it directly here, or you can choose from the color wheels right here. Or even easier, if you don't have those hex code, don't worry. I believe you have the image of your company logos. What you can do is you can upload it to the box right here. So for example, we have this sample logo. And then once you upload it to here, the system will automatically catches all the colors that you have used within your logo. So as you can see, it catches the red right here, and then it catches the dark navy blue and as well as the pink color. So of course, I see too many pink colors here. You can delete it, or you can also modify it to other colors. So for example, if you feel that the pink color is too dark, and then you want to include other colors, other pink colors, you can also do it. And once you're done, you press the save changes, and then you go back to your editor. So you have to refresh your page in order to bring your brand colors that you have just uploaded. So let's go to the same page. And then let's say you click on one element and then see this color. So you see that your uploaded colors has already been uploaded right here. And of course, you can change each element manually. But I will show you the easy way to do it is to use color scheme. So each of our templates in Piktochart actually built in with different sets of colors. What it does is actually, it helps you to convert it to other colors easily. So for example, right here, if you change to other color, within seconds, you can see that the color changes. And of course, you can create your own color scheme. So in this case, what you want to do is you can create your color scheme and then name it. Let's say I name it not. And then you can insert your branding colors right here. So for example, when I select the blue colors right here, all the blue colors within the visual will be selected. Same goes to this light blue color and the black color. So what you want to do is change the blue color. For example, if you want to change all the blue colors to red colors, you can simply click the red one. And then you can also do so with other colors. So as simple as that. So once you're done, you can click save and apply. And the new color scheme has already applied to your visual. And last but not least, you might be wondering if many people using this template, wouldn't my pitch deck be similar to anyone else's? I would say no, because it depends on your story. And I would like to quote what Xin mentioned earlier. So if you want to customize this template further by changing the sequence of your pitch deck, you can also do it in Piktochart. For example, if you want to start with this page, market size, you can move it up by pressing this move up button. Or you can also always moving it back down by pressing this move down button. And then another way to modify your template to suit your content. So for example, in this strategy page, I want to change the layout. Instead of just listing down all the features, I want to put it in a chronological timeline. First, I want to duplicate these slides first because it's always nice to have a backup. Just in case I don't quite like the design that I've just done, I can always go back to the old page. Then I will delete the current one and I'll go to design component. So the design components is actually kind of like mini templates in Piktochart where we provide different layouts that you can choose and bring directly to your editor. So in this case, because we are working on timeline, I will choose directly from this. Once you have the layout that you would like to use, you can again drag and drop, or you can click it. And then you can resize this to better fit your slides, and you're done. One of the text is in different color. Of course, you can change that. And how you can do that is, again, double clicking it and then change the color. Or if it's too much of a hassle, you can always ungroup this one. So this design component is basically a group of elements that you know, like icons or text or lines, and you can ungroup it to edit it in bulk. And then you can select like a few of them and change the color directly. The most important part, I feel, is the button at the end of their slides, because this is the doorway of the potential investor to get in touch with you. So if you want to redirect them into your website or your social media channels, you can do it in Piktochart and practically any elements. So if you want to link these photos, for example, or the text or the icons, you can hyperlink everything in Piktochart. If you want to link these icons to your LinkedIn page, you can also do it by the same way, clicking the link and then inserting the website right here. And then once you see the icons right here, once you see the link icons over here, that means your icon has hyperlink inserted. That is the end of my presentation. So I hope you learned a thing or two. Most importantly, I hope it motivates you to create your winning pitch deck with Piktochart.
Thank you, Natasha, for giving us a very detailed walkthrough of how to use a template on Piktochart. And I think that is a great way to create an eye-catching investment pitch deck. And I'm sure that those valuable design tips and the template you showed us will be helpful for our audience today to use so that it can convince stakeholders and investors. Well, I trust that our audience has learned a lot of new tips on what makes a successful investment pitch deck from Xin and also from Natasha today. So thank you, Xin and Natasha, for sharing your expertise with us. And before we say goodbye, we'd love to also stay connected with you if you'd like to learn more about HighSpark or Piktochart. So Xin, how can our audience reach out to you to learn more about HighSpark?
You can come on our website, www.highspark.co. So that's highspark.co. And we do have a blog. There are tips and tricks in there. And you can also sign up for our free newsletter or a 7-day email course on winning with stories. And as you have seen, Natasha has created a really beautifully designed slides. And I think I'm really blown away by the features and functions. In fact, I just want to say something about the template. I think from an investor pitch deck standpoint, it's really beneficial for founders to use Piktochart because number one, you're able to track how many people viewed your deck. And that's very, very helpful because sometimes you send your deck across via email. You're not so sure whether people even open it and see it. Yes, you can track your email, but I think this is a whole level altogether. And then also the whole hyperlink thing, if you can put a trackable link, you can see how many people click on that, what is the conversion. It can also help you refine your storyline. And in terms of interactive chart, now we are living in a digital age where we are even doing this virtually, right? Presentation. And you don't have to show every single number on your slide. It can be quite overwhelming. So just hover your mouse across certain bars or lines in order to deep dive. And the audience would also be able to do that if they were to receive a link of your presentation deck. I really feel that this is really a game changer. It's going to save founders so much time because nobody has time to, put together slides. I mean, we do it as a professional service. So If you don't have time to hire professionals to develop your deck and you want to use this tool, please go ahead. We also do have coaching packages. So if you really want to differentiate and stand out, maybe your business idea is really complex or it's very difficult for you to position yourself, to differentiate yourself, that's where you can sign up for an hour or 2 hour or coaching package. And of course, once you have gotten the funding, then you have to pitch to your customers as well, right? We also do have storytelling course to help you really leverage existing tools, visual tools, as well as, PowerPoint or any kind of communication tools in order to really convey your value proposition. If you're interested, you can find out more in the link below. So online course, if you want to do self-directed learning, or coaching package, if you need someone there to guide you along professionally.
Based on their track record and how they've helped so many startups, it's definitely worth checking out HighSpark, especially if you're looking to raise funding for your startups or organizations. And if you'd like to also learn more about using Piktochart for creating beautiful visuals, you can also check out the link below, where we have an on-demand demo webinar for you to find out more about Piktochart. Additionally, you could also reach out to Xin, Natasha, or myself via our email or LinkedIn as shown on the screen right now to stay connected with us. And also feel free to follow both Piktochart and HighSpark on our social media. That's where you can get more tips on visual storytelling. Thank you for tuning in to this Pikto webinar, and this is brought to you by Piktochart and HighSpark. So that's the end of our webinar today, and we wish you all the best for your investment pitch decks. Thank you and goodbye.